Hello, Western Civ 104. Welcome to week 6, and I hope you're doing well. As you can see, I am continuing to put stuff in boxes. I am moving back to California, but to Santa Cruz um, in the very near future, and so I got to keep life full of adventures, right? And so, anyhow, yeah, that's been kind of distracting me. So, I just want to say a few things in terms of like what we're covering in this class. This is very interesting, right? We're going into Christianity um, and the emergence of Christianity into the Roman sphere, which eventually we're going to get more into more detail and cover. Which really, I mean, we're thinking about all the layers of Western civilization, right? And really, when we initially addressed ancient Israel's influence, um, we have to keep in mind that a lot of that has to do with the fact that the ancient Israelite religion formed into the what Christians call Old Testament or Jews call the Hebrew Aramaic scriptures or Tanakh. Um, that those books become a part of Christianity because the idea is that Jesus is the chosen one, that the Jews were looking to be a very special person for the world. And the majority of Jews did not believe in that, but this then becomes its own religion and then eventually becomes a part of the Roman Empire. And so it's a very interesting story. I just want to point out a few things. When I discuss this in this section, I grew up in a very, very conservative, with a very conservative set of views about looking about the history of Christianity. And I've also over the years realized that I've met people who were very religious Christians that also had a very different view of the history, on the development of the history. And that depending on which theological school of thought that you would grow up in, there's some different approaches that folks would take to the question of the origins of Christianity. And I'm just letting you know that I have read a lot and listened to a lot of folks that question the historical existence of Jesus, or even some very kind of alternative, almost conspiracy theory books about Christianity maybe being invented by the Romans themselves, which at first seems so ludicrous to me. But then there's several schools of thought on this. There's certain parts that it just wouldn't sound ludicrous anymore. I'm not advocating those theories. I'm just kind of pointing out that I'm just trying to point out that because the early centuries of Christianity are so murky, which I do talk about in my lectures, that when things are a little more murky, then you're going to have space open for people to try to explain maybe a different viewpoint on how things are, why they are, or what got us to where we're at. And I just realized that a lot of these theories weren't as wacky as I thought, even though I don't ascribe to them or I'm not advocating them, and some of them go way over the top, like they're, I mean, off the chart. They're not even considered academically acceptable. What I liked about the video when I showed you for this week on the religion for breakfast, I like this series. Okay, he does some of his earlier ones with this music in the background that is so annoying that I can barely watch him, and I'm sure you're going to feel the same way. So when he talks about how badly were the Christians persecuted by Rome, he does a great academic approach to the whole topic, but the music is just so annoying. And unfortunately, he stopped doing that. So then you're going to get to the next one that you have in the religion for breakfast, and you don't have to be tormented by this distracting musical sound in the background. I think sometimes, especially when people start with vlogging, you want to kind of sexy it up, get really goofy, make some sort of like music stuff, and then you realize if you just put something together well and you have something interesting to say, that's probably all you really need to do. But whatever. So, in any case, I think you'll find the story about Christians and the fish very interesting, and I think that the idea, the question about how badly were Christians persecuted by the Romans, and what it shows, my whole point is that when you watch those sections, you'll realize how come there is so much space for people who even question if Jesus existed and come up with theories like the Romans inventing the religion. Because the Romans have invented other religions like the Serapis cult, and created a state religion. And so you see that those things are possible, and you just realize that, this is what's complicated about history. Now look, I know obviously if you're if we're going to talk about having faith and belief in something, we don't entertain those thoughts. But I just want to point out that this is the messy world of history, where you can go through and have a certain idea about something for centuries, and then all of a sudden there can be a space for people to actually question something that has been viewed by almost everybody else for centuries in one particular way. I can think about even how France have been going through a kind of existential crisis with the traditional way they viewed the French Revolution, and now a newer, revised version of the interpretation of the French Revolution. For those of you who are not caring about the French Revolution, this doesn't matter to you at all. But in France, for many people, this has become a super big deal. And in fact, even on an academic level, when I was at UC Santa Cruz, the traditional Marxist interpretation of the French Revolution was being questioned, and then there was some students that were Marxists that were yelling at the teacher, not yelling, but it was getting kind of passionate. And so, I guess what it comes down to when on any idea or view that we have of something, many people don't care about it, or you care a lot about it, and it becomes a very sensitive topic. And so I just think it's very interesting at the very least. So, pardon me if, well, I'm just going on and on. I'm definitely a little scatterbrained with trying to get so much stuff done. In any case, I hope that you're doing well. Continue to contact me if you have any questions, thoughts, problems, and we'll be in touch.